Good afternoon. Thank you, Matt. Thank you for that introduction. It's true, I'm going to be not selling you shed loads of software, much as I would like to do so, but actually talking about why customers do call the shots. And it's an interesting concept, of course, because in the audience today are lots of individuals who are, of course, customers or would-be customers of Sage. So it's a slightly awkward topic, perhaps, but nevertheless, an important one. And why is it that we think that customers call the shots more today than they have done historically? Well, I think the simple answer for that is the simple power of the internet. Your customers are so much more informed, all of our customers, than they have ever been before. And if they're not informed about something, they can get informed about something very easily, very quickly, and very affordably. They can check, they can compare, they can seek counsel and advice, and most of it's free. And this, of course, for any of us in business is a massive challenge, but one that we have to relish and one that we have to embrace. So the first thing we've got to do is we've got to understand, we've got to know the customer. And we pride ourselves on knowing our customers. There's always more that we should and could know. But we know, for example, that in the audience today, all of us who are customers, our businesses therefore, operating in the UK market, about a third of us are anticipating that there's going to be growth in the economy for us, growth in our businesses this year. And that's encouraging, clearly. We also know that an interesting fact, you hear much of this in the news, that it's very difficult to get hold of capital if you're in a small or medium-sized business. Well, actually, through the surveys that we run with a panel of 7,000 of our customers, so it's a statistically verifiable piece of data, we know that 15% of all of our customers have actually, in the last 3 months, tried to raise capital from a bank. And actually, two-thirds of them, have been successful. So is it actually that there's so much rhetoric around about the fact that we can't raise money from the banks, that actually small, medium-sized businesses are not thinking about going to the bank because they don't think it's worthwhile? Whereas the actual reality is that the money is there, and the money is available, and two-thirds of our customers who have tried to raise money have got money in the last 3 months. We also know that more and more businesses are going online. Sage is going online. All of our customers are going online. In fact, 20% of our businesses who are customers of ours today have got an online shopping presence. That was very different 2 years ago. And of those who have got an online shopping presence, 56% of them think that they're going to be growing that business by more than 10% this current year. So the world of online is here, the world of online shopping is here, and it's not just about selling to consumers either. The business-to-business market is growing very fast in the online world. So things are changing and our customer profile is changing, and that's up to us at Sage to understand so that we're more aware of the sorts of topics and issues that face you as customers of Sage. There's another interesting thing. I was amazed by this data. Of the 7,000 in our panel, 50% are on Facebook. I thought that was an extraordinary number. But actually, even more extraordinary to me was 20% of the 7,000 are not only on LinkedIn, but actually use it regularly for business purposes. Well, that's a big change from 2 years ago. And I think that signals the power of social media, the power of the new way of networking, the new way of finding out about what's really going on, the new way that customers are using to choose which supplier they should go with. So the first thing you've got to do is know your customer, and that's pretty obvious, and it's our job to understand as much as we can about our own customers. The second thing, though, is to talk to customers. Now, I know that sounds a ridiculous thing to say because, of course, you talk to your customers, don't you? But isn't it amazing how many of us in business, and I don't exclude myself from this, get so tied up in the day job that actually we don't take the time out as individuals in business to talk to our customers. Now, I have a simple technique that I use in order to make sure that I do every day talk to customers. And actually, it's to ask my daughters for some help. Now, for those who don't know, and there's no reason why you should, I rather oddly, some might say ludicrously, have 2 sets of twin daughters, aged 5 and 4. I'll say that again, because at this point, most people say, my God, what did he just say? I have 2 sets of twin daughters, aged 5 and 4. They're 15 months apart. And at this point, normally all the women in the room go, oh, isn't that lovely? And all the men in the room go, bloody hell. And the men are absolutely right, I have to tell you. Anyway, they are full of action. And we have this game that we play where every day we choose a letter. So this morning they got up at the same ungodly hour that I did. And we chose F for fat, actually, as it happens. I'm not sure they were looking at me at the time. They were saying F for fat. But anyway, they did F for fat. And so I then rolled through the database at random on my way here to speak to a customer. And it was Fleet Printing in just outside Tunbridge in Kent. And I had a conversation, a courtesy call, with the bookkeeper, Joe, at Fleet Printing. And I had a very great conversation, very interesting. And I do that every day. And it's a discipline that I do to make sure that I keep my own feet on the ground and be grounded so that I talk to customers every day. Now, quite often, what I hear from customers is not that pleasant, right? None of us can please everybody all of the time. So you have to take on board what you hear from customers and deal with it. But talking to customers is critical. But you know, most important of all is understanding what it is that your customers want of you. And that's really the gist and the thrust of what I want to talk about this afternoon. It's about the journey to understanding what it is that we should do as businesses to create a wow in the customer. What is it that Sage can do to make you think, wow, Sage is amazing? Or turning it around to you in the audience, what is it that you can do in your businesses to make your customers go, wow, about you? And so I just want to take you through a model that we have been exploring. It's by a guy called Joe Pine, if you can see that on the slide, who's very worth looking up on just Google Joe Pine, and you'll get to his stuff. He's an American academic, but his model's very interesting. And basically what he says is in all businesses, you start off with something that's basically a commodity. You productize it. You build a service ethos around it. You then move to create an experience. And ultimately, if you're lucky enough to get there, you create something that is actually transformational for your customer. Now, this journey is important, and let me explain it by way of example. So let's take a commodity, plastic. Plastic is a commodity. Well, some bright spark created a way of cutting plastic into little blocks, painting them different colors and putting bubbles on them, called them Lego, and all of a sudden there was a product built out of a commodity. And they spent a fortune building that brand and that product over time. And then over time, they needed to differentiate themselves further, to customize their offering further by going up the value chain towards service. They created websites, they created call centers, they created ways in which you, as a godparent, could work out which particular version of Lego Pirate you should get for this year to be in vogue with your godchild who loves Lego. But then they went another stage, which was to go beyond service and to actually start to create an experience for Lego. So they built a Lego land. And anybody who's been to Lego land with kids can see the way that kids empathize and see Lego in a completely different world because it's brought to life.